Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and I come to you with excitement in my voice because it was just revealed that the Overwatch World Cup will be returning in 2023. The Overwatch World Cup that so many people finally remember was a World Cup where different countries around the world participated and played each other in Overwatch. And almost every single year, there was a World Cup to look forward to, usually around Blizzcon time. But the last one that was held was in 2019, where the United States took gold. And ever since then, there hasn't been one held since. That was until today during the Overwatch 2 Legends Battle Tournament, where they lightly announced the World Cup. Now, we don't know the full details about the World Cup. We don't even know all the countries that are going to be in it. Like, obviously, I'm sure the countries that are already in the Overwatch League are going to be participating, like the United States and China, South Korea, and various European countries. But what we do know is the actual process of trying out for a national team is going to be a little bit different, because beforehand, it was a popularity contest, even for players. I remember in 2016, Muzelk tried out for the Australian national team and he got in, which is just funny because you would never think that someone like Muzelk would get on a quote-unquote professional team. Now the tryout process is actually going to be changing. This was announced that there's going to be a new tournament format called World Cup Trials. This allows new teams and new players to try out for their national teams. Again, this goes for all countries that are, well, I mean, at least the 36 countries that are going to be participating, and those will be chosen by a committee of the Overwatch World Cup. But once the countries are chosen in February, that's when the World Cup trials actually begin, where it's going to be a tournament for teams to compete, and if you win, you will get a chance to actually try out for the national team. And this is going to be very beneficial for teams and players that haven't sniffed the Overwatch League just yet, but want to put on a show and actually showcase their skills. And then later in March, this is where regular signups begin for anybody with a diamond rank or above to still try out for the national team. And this tryout period isn't just for players. This is also open for general managers. This is also open for coaches, assistant coaches for national teams. But what I'm interested in and what I'm hoping actually takes place is the community lead spot. If there's any OG heads watching that remember Bro You Whack from 2017, 2018, and 2019, you remember that I tried out for the community lead spot every single year and I got beat out every single year. But that's all gonna change. That is assuming if there's gonna be a community lead even to try out for, but I'm hoping and pleading that there is, because this is gonna be my year. I got beat out by Fresh Nuts, and I got beat out by somebody that doesn't even work in the Overwatch space anymore, but I stayed in the Overwatch community. I've been in this thing since 2016, and it's my time. It is my time to try out for the community lead spot, or just some sort of position. I'll even try to be the cheerleader for the United States national Overwatch team. So once we hear more details about the World Cup and we actually hear more information of a possible community lead to even try out for, or whatever the equivalent's gonna be, there's gonna be a video on my channel, and it's gonna be reminiscent of the old days where it was basically a campaign video where I make you guys a promise, and I already know what the promise is gonna be, but there has to be something for there to actually try out for, because I'm not trying out for a coach position or a GM position, because I would literally tank the national team to the ground. And that's why the community lead is the perfect position, because it basically is like the cheerleader position. You don't decide who plays, you don't decide what comps you run, you just basically are the face of the team, and it's really fun. But now, besides the World Cup returning, why should you also care about the World Cup? Because admittedly, yeah, some people don't care about competitive Overwatch, but what they care about is rewards, and there's gonna be brand new challenges and rewards for all players to help bring in the World Cup. I'm sure what's gonna happen is very similar to how the Overwatch League had it, where if you watch the Overwatch League a certain amount of time, you got in-game skins, sprays, and rewards, where hopefully this time around, they actually give the rewards after the event takes place. And I think the rewards that they're going to be giving out are the national team skins for all the Overwatch heroes. Like, remember how in Overwatch 1 during the World Cup, they had Team USA, Team Canada, and all these team-specific skins for heroes, but they never brought them to the public. That is, I think, until now. It's very time-consuming consuming to make all these skins for a bunch of heroes for different countries with different colors, so to just have them for the World Cup and not try to use them as rewards, I was very surprised by. But I think that's going to change when the World Cup comes around, and I think they're going to use it as incentives for people to actually watch the World Cup. Like if you watch 10 hours of the World Cup or however long it lasts, then you get Team USA skins for heroes, or maybe you only get 3 skins for heroes that have the Team USA colors. It's just going to be interesting not only how they give quote-unquote rewards, because I'm sure they could just do the simple cop-out and give sprays, which, you know, will some people care to watch the World Cup at that point? Not really, but if they're giving national skins for heroes away, I think a lot of people would be interested in that. Like, I would love Team USA skins for all my heroes, but that part's going to be interesting because how are they going to determine, if they do this, which skins they give to which players? Like, do you just opt in like, yes, I only want Team USA, or I only want Team Korea? Like, that would be the only way that I could think that that could actually work, because, well, if they're just doing it based off the region that you live in, well, if there's a Korean player living in the United States, I'm sure they actually want Team Korea skins and not Team USA. But besides trying out and besides rewards, what else do we know right now about the World Cup? Well, we do know the date of the actual event, and it's going to be taking place in fall of 2023, which I'm guessing that's also around the time of when they're going to be announcing more of PvE for Overwatch 2, because while we're always talking about PvP, new heroes, and now the World Cup, we forget that the whole point of Overwatch 2 was PvE, and they haven't talked about it. That is until, well, in 2023, when that's supposed to be releasing. So right now the timeline is in January, there's going to be applications and just getting the ball rolling. In February, this is when teams actually start to compete for tryouts and during the World Cup trials. In March, this is when the full tryouts happen and when teams are starting to form. And then in June, that's when the qualifiers are going to start to begin. It's just like the FIFA World Cup, where anybody can try out for the World Cup and anybody can compete in the World Cup, but then eliminations are going to start to happen for the actual event, and that's when things start to ramp up in June. And then after the qualifiers in June, the 16 teams that won that bracket tournament are going to advance to the World Cup event, where it's going to be a LAN event, which is going to be super dope because, well, I don't know how this is going to work in terms of like it not happening during BlizzCon, or if there is going to be a BlizzCon. Wait, is BlizzCon going to be returning? Is this kind of a hint that BlizzCon is returning in fall of 2023 as well? That's going to be a doozy, especially with how everything happened in the past couple of years. But at least there's going to be a World Cup happening. I mean, I'm happy that a lot of this is returning. The World Cup's returning, possibly BlizzCon is returning. Overwatch 2 has already returned with new PvE stuff coming out in 2023. It's just Overwatch, and specifically Blizzard, has to do this right, because they're already in so much hot water that just to return like as if nothing happened, it's gonna seem a little bit unauthentic. Like, they're making a lot of steps in the right direction, but they're also fumbling with their ambitions. Like recently with the Overwatch League drops and that whole debacle of that not working, eventually that got fixed. But then recently, even in-game with Sojourn in the meta, that's been a whole entire mess, but they're slowly fixing it with these hot fixes and patches. And then when it comes to their skins and their content and pricing, that's been absurd. So overall, it's just been a mixed bag ever since Overwatch 2 was announced back at the last BlizzCon in 2019, but ever since it fully released later on this year. So hopefully they can finally find their footing in 2023 and make good with not only the World Cup, but PvE and more content. It's just, they're very ambitious. It's just they gotta do well, man. They gotta do well. So anyway, guys, that's my video. That's all I want to talk about was the World Cup, possibly BlizzCon returning. But we're just gonna have to see how it works out. There's lots of ambition with Overwatch 2. Let's just hope that Blizzard can do right by it. But I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch 2 videos to come, and bye.